Wednesdays specifically.
They tried to get on it today. I'm like, I don't think it's warm enough. Oh, it's okay, Dan. 30 minutes later, all right.
All right. Oh, still on.
All right, 6:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Proof of public notice.
Notice was given.
Right. There is no virtual participation this evening, so that will be skipped, and we will jump right into public comments. Niels, You're the only one.
Hi, Niels Peterson, you guys all know me. I was very excited to see the handbook come out. I was taking a look through it and had a couple questions on the cell phone policy. The policy in the handbook references board policy 5136. But we actually have 5136.01, which seemed like it was a little bit in conflict with the policy in the handbook. The handbook policy says that use is prohibited on school grounds during school hours. 5136.01 says that possession is not allowed from bell to bell on school property or any school-sponsored activity. And it specifically calls out smartphones and headphones and smartwatches. So I wasn't sure if the board intended for 5136.01 to ban possession of all of those devices, or if the intent was the handbook policy, which is just use is not allowed. And I was particularly called to that because I remember when I passed as a volunteer board member, the original draft a couple months ago of 5136.01 did not ban possession, it only banned use. So hoping you guys could take a look at that, so that the Neola policies could hopefully match our handbooks, which only talk about use of it.
Okay, and that's it for public comment. So then we'll move on to consent agenda. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? If not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
What are the words we're supposed to use when you say it like that?
You can make any motion you'd like.
Oh, I thought there was like a
You can
one
say,
word thing.
you can say so moved.
So moved.
if you want.
That's what it is, yes. So moved.
So moved.
I will second it. Any discussion?
Do we not have any donations?
We do not.
Okay, and then I'm gonna ask yet again why we won't publish personnel report without salary information, if that's what we're worried about. Why we won't share that information with the public. I think that's something that we should be sharing because people that don't, like, so I don't get all 3 newsletters because I only have kids at 2 of the buildings. So I know I'm not a unique situation, so people won't know kind of what's going on in other buildings. So I think it would be nice to have that available.
What, I'm not following what you're looking to have.
The personnel report is not public. And I get that we're not doing it because it's got salary information, even though that is public information, you can look it up. Why can't we take off the salary information and still publish, hey, we hired X, Y, and Z, or person C left?
Have you requested this before?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it and I don't think anything was determined.
I remember Amy, who was no longer here, said yes, we're looking at that, so
Was that maybe in May?
Probably,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see why we don't, there's no reason why we can't do that. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
I mean, I figured it wasn't anything.
We'll just not do the salaries, but absolutely. Do you see a problem with that?
No,
And-
we'll just grab the salary data off and.
So, and then I
so we'd
guess,
still have executive content and then.
Yeah.
Okay.
because so when we're looking at it, these people have already been hired or we're approving them to be hired?
Approving them to be hired.
Okay, and so then we don't look at any contracts or anything either though? No, we just,
Contract is a standard contract, so it's the same and we approve those contracts year over year.
just asking procedural questions since I don't know
Yeah.
all the things and, yeah, I guess, yeah, that's fine.
So you don't need that pulled out?
No, just asking procedural questions.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, the motion on the table is to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. On to committee reports. Finance.
All right, so we had our meeting about a week ago. I want to thank Patrick, it was his first meeting. Patrick, Tina, and Morgan stepped up, I had some travel issues, so I was taking it from a car, a turnpike in Ohio or Indiana or somewhere, so
I just remember first meeting.
you guys stepping up, but look, it was a pretty standard meeting. I think there'll be some heavier lifting next month as we work towards the annual budget. This last meeting with June closed the last year's fiscal cycle. As we discussed, remember we talked about the bells and the clock system, that we were gonna have some surplus funds. We ended up having about 98,000 of surplus funds out of our budget from last year, so that basically covered the entire equipment cost for these bells, so that was good. And then, look, I think it was Morgan's first time through doing this. She's got an accounting background, so she asked a lot of good questions and dug into the financials deeply, and Patrick's learned his way around how we do stuff here, so I think we're forming a good foundation of the team right here. So, Morgan, anything else to add? And spending was in line?
No, we just, we talked about the state budget that was approved and how special education funding was kind of upped, and I was asking Patrick kind of where he was thinking for the budget, so that was nice to kind of see that. And then the freezer that
Yeah,
we had to get
thank you
repaired.
for that. Yeah, there's a fairly expensive repair that's gonna come through soon, the freezer. I don't know if it totally died, but it's not functional, so
Yeah, it's a
fairly
compressor
expensive.
replacement, and I've got the whole write-up, but it's about 23, 24. A new one costs about 5 times that, so they said there's plenty of useful life if we make the repairs. Brennan said that's the best course of action, given the age and given the condition.
Yeah, and keep in mind, that will come out of the food service fund, which is fund, what's food services, Fund 50?
50, yep.
And if you recall, I mean, we generally price our lunches such that as long as people pay, we end up with a little bit more than our food service costs. And if that balance gets too big, you have to spend it on
Yep.
stuff. So I think we bought like dishwashers a couple years ago or stuff because we had stuff to spend on. So this, while expensive, hopefully won't have too big of an impact on our general fund. I guess the other thing I should add from our meeting, which I've been doing the past couple months, is talk about kind of capital repair stuff. The new clock system isn't completely in across all buildings.
Yeah, so I wanted, can I, like,
Sure,
I'm gonna go
yes.
ahead and add to this story and bring it back to kids, right? Because that's why we're here, and when you think about those clocks and all the conversation that went along with the clocks, and we think about all of our students, right? Every child that we have in our schools, we are hosting summer school right now, and we have summer school happening at North, and we have summer school happening here at North Shore Middle School. And Chris Dillon has just done an incredible job of staying on top of this project management and getting these in. They are all in, they all look like that. But one of the best moments was the first day that the students realized they were in and saw them. And one of our students, who came across it and got really geeked. He was so excited, and he was like, I can finally, for the first time, tell time at school. Because he couldn't read the analog clock, but the digital made sense to him. And others who went to Chris and said, this is amazing, these are great, I love these clocks. So I think, just always kind of keeping in mind the kid, because we're treating them, we're preparing them for their future, not for our past. And I think that whenever we think about that, and we think about this means something to them, and being able to relate to them. So I just thank you for approving it, thank you for getting us to this place, and we have tested out all of the emergency system with it. It's pretty slick. It's within 6 seconds, it comes across the screen in a bright red, and even if you're not looking at it, you can see it out of the corner of your eye, and it hits all of the district. And we've never had that before, so thank you. It really was a big approval for safety for our kids.
It's good, I'm glad we did that last month. I guess the final thing to say is the roof repair is at south or north, I can't remember which one.
North.
North got the new roof, and that's
Yes,
done now, right?
it's done.
It's done, so they've got a new roof on North. So again, these are two pretty hefty
Yeah.
packages that we've done without dipping into our capital fund over the last 2 years.
And 4K started today with their new mulch project.
Oh, that's exciting.
So that's a really big deal over there for our 4K families as well. So,
I had a question for you on the repair. Do we, for repairs that are large, do we do out for bid or only for purchases?
Only purchase.
Okay.
I think that would take some time if you had to do it for repairs.
Depending on the timing and urgency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the parts are on order.
Okay.
They said it's about 6 to 8 week lead time, so we wanted to get them ordered right quick, so we were up and running for school.
Yeah, good call.
Well, and I liked, you had mentioned that the guy, or the worker, the staff member, whatever, had said that they recommended repairing, not replacing.
Yes, they did.
So I thought that was
Yes. He
something.
he gave Greg a ballpark. He said, this is about what these units run now. He's like, but given what the malfunction was, I think it's a compressor motor and a couple other things. You know, he said definitely repair. There's a lot of useful life is what he said.
Great. Okay. Good for finance?
Yep.
All right. Moving on to PPC.
PPC, we met regarding a policy that we're gonna discuss in a little bit regarding 5330, which is these medications in school. So we'll go over that here in a little bit. And then I wasn't saying it was a short meeting, but we went through the handbook, which is a big part of the meeting, which we've been trying to get out for some time. So now that everything's been put through, we discussed what was in there. Everything was kind of pushed in through Neola and matched pretty close. I know there's some pieces that we talked about. There was an order that we talked about changing just so it was a little bit easier to read, and then making sure we had enough references back to where you can find our policies, because they do change based off of discussions here. So we've updated that information, and I see it's all in there. So excited to have that out there and get that into the community's hands.
Mm-hmm. All right. Good. Moving on to superintendent's report.
yes, thank you. Great and excited this evening to bring to you some really vibrant people that we have brought into the district. And you've heard me say it before, getting the right people in the right seats makes a difference. And so tonight I would like to introduce or have our new people in our leadership team introduce themselves. And I will just go ahead and start with Patrick.
I was requested to go up to the
Podium,
podium, so I'll make it official here. Yeah.
This is official.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't met me, I'm Patrick Austinson, I'm the new Director of Business Services. Just a little bit about me, I'm from the area, born and raised in Sussex, lived there most of my life, actually just closed on a house in Romney Falls, but not too far down the road. Went to school for finance, spent about 5 years in corporate finance, and decided I wanted to make a bigger difference. So I changed gears and I started my path in education. I've been in education for about 15 years. Taught at the high school level for 13 years, and then kind of had an aha moment that, hey, I went down this path to make a difference, and maybe I can use my finance background to make a bigger difference. And that's kind of how I ended up here. Spent the last little more than a year with the Whitnall School District, working in their business office, handling everything from HR and payroll to financial operations. I'm excited to be here. I mean, really my why is the kids. I feel like my job is to put our teachers, our administrators in the best position with the best resources to make the biggest difference they can. So I'm excited to be here, thankful, and I look forward to working with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was very good. That was very good.
No, yeah?
No, I am.
Guys should have
And now we will invite Lisa Stromek up to the,
I think I'm gonna lose the bet, my length of time, we had a
Oh, yeah, you got this.
I'm Lisa Schromick. I am the Director of Pupil Services, Student Services here at Hartland-Lakeside. Just the little bit of time that I've spent here, it's just amazing. This is a dream job, right? Like the community's great, leadership is great, our admin team is we're all jiving. And so it's gonna go well this year. I see it. I'm excited. I'm starting to get to know some of the staff, so I've invited them to come meet with me, take their time off, from summer break. Some I will say, come and meet me for coffee or come in if you want to come in. So it's been a joy to meet them. As far as me and my professional experiences, I have a lot of background with the law in a variety of different settings. Child welfare, child support, anything that I worked at the Bureau of Milwaukee Child Welfare for a number of years. I've worked with children since I was 16. Always had a gravitational pull to help those who are vulnerable and need someone to speak for them and advocate for them. So I've done that. I've a social worker to counselor to a school psychologist for the majority of my career. And the past, on and off throughout there, I would have accommodation roles where I would be school psych and special education coordinator. But all totaled about 6 or 7 years of being a director between the state of Wisconsin and rural settings and then out in California and more of a suburban type of setting. Very different world out there. But I had gained a lot of experiences. Any time I have done anything, I grab onto what is good and I take it and run with it. So I can bring you a lot. But I don't have much to say at this point in time because what I'm looking and digging around, gosh, this is a great school district. So you guys have been doing great so far, and I can't wait to see how far I can take us in the future. So thank you.
Very good. And then last but not least, John Fox.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm John Fox, new principal at North Shore. I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. The last 4 weeks, this is week 4 now starting, have been absolutely amazing. This is where I want to be. This is year 20 for me now in education. The first 15 or so were teaching at the middle school level. A couple years teaching 4th and 5th grade. And then most recently, I was assistant principal at Germantown High School last year for a year. So I've had those experiences before middle school and after middle school. So it's kind of nice to put everything into a continuum. Coming on here has been absolutely amazing. The onboarding process has been great. The support initiatives that are going, we have our weekly admin meetings where the entire team comes together and plans strategy. I've had one-on-one meetings from the very, very beginning with Tina to help the transition of me coming on board. One of my initiatives this summer is to have a one-on-one, I call them a hello meeting, with every staff member here at North Shore, whether it's a teacher or an educational aide or a custodian. Everybody, I wanna ask them 3 things. What's going really well at North Shore and why? What can we work on? And how can I help you? How can I support? So those meetings have had just tremendously awesome outcomes. I haven't talked about the students yet, you guys. I saved the best for last. The students are incredible here. I spent 2 days here before, while I was still transitioning in early June while I was still working in Germantown, and came here and I was thrilled. Floored by the kids and their involvement, their humor. It just made me all the more excited to be coming out. A little bit about my family. My wife is a school counselor. We have 2 kids. My son's in 4th grade and my daughter's in 7th grade this year. We live in Menominee Falls. That's where I grew up. I've always had theoretical knowledge of students and parenting in middle school, but now I have a 7th grade daughter. So I have practical knowledge of parenting a middle school daughter. And a lot of people can sympathize with me for that. So wanted to say thanks, and I'm really glad to be here.
Very good. Thank you so much, and you're gonna hear a little bit here in just a minute about some of the great things going on. Again, just really excited, I echo everything, this is jiving, I think is the right word, I think we are, and I think it's really exciting to see. So, very good work on their part. Next up on my to-do list here is I wanna talk a little bit about the registration form. It got mailed out today and tomorrow. So you should be watching for that at home. It kind of gives you the directions on how to do everything. It will open August 4th at 10 a.m. August 4th. Now, you've always had to sign off on things. You've always had to kind of, check boxes. One little caveat this year that's really important that you're gonna notice, and I don't want people to get confused about. I'm reading directly from our Chris Dillon, our Director of IT. Google recently updated its policies and now requires schools to get parent or guardian consent before students under the age of 18 can access certain services through their school Google accounts. These include things like YouTube, Google Maps, Google Earth, and other tools that fall outside of Google's core education apps. This change is meant to better align with student data privacy laws like COPPA and FERPA. Even though core services like Gmail, Drive, and Classroom don't technically require parent consent under Google's terms, it's considered best practice to inform families and get approval for using Google Workspace in general. And that is why our form also includes a broader consent for core services, not just the optionals. So we have some more information if you're interested, but it's also really important for you to understand that if you don't sign and give consent, then there won't be a Google Chromebook, there won't be Google Classroom, your child won't be able, everything will be paper pencil. And maybe that's okay with some, but it'll just, we're gonna have to dual create lessons and all of those pieces. As you know, our district does an absolute phenomenal job of double, triple checking all of its securities. Chris gets notifications if anything at all questionable comes up and is really on top of that. So there's no worries as far as them having access to something they shouldn't have access so long as they're on our network. If they go outside of our network, that's when things get a little bit different because we can't control things from, that are going on at home. But please be rest assured in knowing that here, when they're in our buildings, the lessons are based, the things they use, YouTube, Google Earth, are based from their lessons. And they always have been. So hopefully they can continue to be with that. So I thought that was really important for us to point that out. Do you have any questions regarding that? Excellent. Then I'm gonna go ahead and move to the screen. Because I want to keep everybody really informed about the work that we're doing, but I also want to make sure that it's it makes sense, all of those pieces. So give me just a minute to. We're talking a little bit about the strategic plan and how did we get here.
Can I click off of that?
Just click on the, and go back.
How do I go back?
Just the arrow key backwards.
Okay.
There we go. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. I
Me
appreciate
and
that.
Max don't play well together.
So really, truly, what this has been a bit of an interesting ride here, right? Because we started this action plan and this strategic plan months ago with a different team. So now we have 3 new members and we're like, okay, how do we do this? How do we get everybody on board understanding what we're doing? So the first thing was to make sure that everybody was informed. So we started our first meeting and we were like, okay, how are we gonna do this? We need to understand how this works. we chose to start as a team with our mission statement, which is to empower every student to discover and develop their unique gifts in a nurturing environment, preparing them to thrive as compassionate, critical thinkers and lifelong learners. And so what we did then is we took that time and we said, okay, how do we break this out? What is this gonna look like? Well, we said discovering and developing their unique gifts in a nurturing environment, preparing them to thrive as compassionate, critical thinkers, and making them lifelong learners. If we did all of those other things by default, they would all become lifelong learners, right? Like that would be our hope. But the biggest word that we took out of that, does anybody know what that might be? Empower. How do we empower people, right? And so you created this strategic plan and empowered me to take it from your plan to the district goals. And so we started creating that. And then it's my job informing our team, leadership to define the foundations, the language, the graphics, the concept, the roles, the portrait of a graduate, which is just an element of that strategic plan, that you have an expectation that we are going to implement in some way, right? We're there. So then, well, what do we do? So I'm empowering our leadership team. Who's our leadership team empowering? Their staff and their teams. So we've already begun that piece. We've put together some advisory teams. We're already doing the work to create and develop the portrait of a graduate. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a minute. And so then our leadership give it to the staff, and then the staff give it to the students, right? And so it's informing our people, engaging our people, and getting everybody on board. Yeah, thanks, Patrick. So let's start with this. This is our image. This is our final product. I worked with Danielle, who we worked with, those of you who were on the board at the time of the strategic plan, to really solidify this. And you might notice that it might look a little bit like a house, and that's purposeful, right? Because what's the foundation? The foundation is our mission, right? So really focused on this is who we are here at Hartland-Lakeside. And then the pillars. Right? Student success is our first pillar. Why? Because that's what's really important here at Hartland. Safety, also very important. Community engagement, wellness, and being fiscally forward. This is the piece, and then the house, right up there at the top. Hartland-Lakeside School District, that's our commitment right there. So you're gonna see this embedded throughout the district. You're gonna see it everywhere. That's what we need to remember. But we can't take all of this on, because you've heard me say before, if everything is important, nothing is important, right? So we have 5 pillars, and we've got 3 or 4 different little markers for each one. Do we have it outlined? Sure we do. Are we gonna do it all at once? No, we would never be successful, right? We have to take things one step at a time. So what we decided to really focus on so that we could have a really healthy start to our school year is the portrait of a graduate. And we've already begun this work, and we've dug in, and we have taken these pieces as our competencies: care, collaborate, grow, lead, share, and think. These are all developed from those original documents that we spoke of. And you're looking, these are really small words. This is going to be our graphic for a portrait of a graduate, so you're going to see this around as well. But we needed to make it student friendly, right? Our first graders aren't gonna be able to say, well, I need to take initiative, right? What does that mean, right? So, well, that means I'm gonna lead, right? We can teach what that means to a first grader. They can understand those words. I think the other piece of this is trying to understand, well, why are we doing this? What's the why, right? We talk a little bit about that. I think for us, our why is about who we want leading our community. Think about that for a minute, right? We've got future dentists, we've got people who are children who will someday manage our food pantry. We have students who are gonna be lawyers, accountants, and our clergy. We wanna make sure that our students understand their community, our community, and we wanna focus on that. So as we prepare our kids for their future, we are building this from the ground up. We are not using any kind of canned curriculum. It is our work, our students focused on our community and the future of Hartland. And I think that's what kind of brings all of us together. And me just saying that alone, when you look at our team and you look at some of the people who have been in this district who are now sitting at the table, the word we hear over and over and over again is unity. And what a better time than right now for our district in this community to come full circle and unite on a front. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna build our future, our students. But we need to keep in mind, as we go along, that as we prepare them, we need to maintain an awareness that we're preparing our students for jobs that probably don't even exist right now, right? If you really think about that, that's a big possibility. So what does this look like for our students, our staff? What are we looking at doing? I remember telling you that early on, each month we're gonna have a theme, right? And so these are the themes, but they're the themes for North, South, and North Shore Middle School. It's the first time they've had the same exact theme. So what are we doing in September? Ready, set, go. What does that mean? That means we're getting ready for school. What does school look like? How do I do school? Right? Do you think kindergartners know that coming to school means that get in line at the door? What do you mean get in line at the door, right? I mean, if you've ever been first day of school or what does that mean? What does it look like? What are the words that we're gonna use to ensure that students aren't barreling down the hallways full speed, right? And we need to make sure that we are setting everybody up for success throughout the whole process. So one of the things, I'll just give you we have these bands. So for September, Ready, Set, Go is establishing routines, expectations, and building a positive school culture. So we have kindergarten through second grade, third through fifth, and sixth through eighth. And basically, it's just like focusing, so learning routines in kindergarten through second, third through fifth is establishing expectations, sixth through eight is building independence, ownership of learning, and leadership. So those are kind of the pieces. I'm not gonna get all of that, but we have that for all of these little areas. If you were to see these little diamonds here, you click on them and it'll give you the whole plan. And so our students, this will be completely out there for you to see. It's gonna go on our website. We just aren't there yet with our teams, right? We've got, our leadership team is on board, our advisory teams are building and busy, getting all of their stuff together so that they can be successful to the start of the year. But then each month, it changes. You'll see November and December are both collaborate. That's because we have a week off in November and 2 weeks off in December. So we're keeping those kind of consistently together because there's a lot of teamwork that we can do within those 2 months. And then my favorite is, well, my two favorites, I love that Think is April. What happens in April in the district or across the state is testing. All the testing that goes on. So really kind of the importance of that. And then as you all know, our 6th through 8th graders are gonna really dig in to this portrait of a graduate to create a summative. Doesn't mean that our littles aren't gonna be able to do an art show, or there's going to be some sense of a benchmark for them to say, yep, this is what I did. And there's a lot of exciting things that are gonna happen along the way that I'll share once they start happening. But I know that people are anxious to say, what is this and what are we doing? So giving you a little bit of a glimpse of where we're at. And again, just sharing out with you the great work that our district leadership team is unified, aligned, collaborative, energized, and student-centered. Not one conversation takes place without us saying, what about the kids? And it always comes back to that, and it's just been a real true joy to bring everybody together this summer and do this work. And I am very proud of it. I think they are very proud of it. We've had breakout sessions, we've done a lot of work, and we're just very, very excited about the work. Anybody have questions for me? I suppose you could go one more. These are all documents that we have. Obviously, I'm not going to share this out. So we have the strategic mission and action plan. That's coming off of our deep dive into our mission plan. So we took a deep dive, and then we said, okay, what are things that we can do? What are changes we can make? Well, how important are the arts to us? What are our electives looking like? What do we have for outdoor ed? What does our wellness plan look like? So all pieces that dial into our strategic plan. Okay, so as a leadership team, if we believe these things, then what do we need to have our teachers do? Well, these are ways our teachers can impact that decision making. And then what about our students? What does that look like for our students? And so it's really tiered out. Skill development by grade band, again, that takes that
common thread, kindergarten through 8th grade, the language, and it stacks upon itself to scaffold out that learning. Our district themes by grade band. Strategic plan roadmap is the thing that you guys saw about a month back. It's every one of our pillars with all of the subsets, and then a goal written, which we worked on our goals just last week, and we're gonna take a look at them this week, and measurables, and then quarterly, it's got guideposts. So where are we at, what are we doing? And then we've implemented a stoplight. So if it's red, we come back and we look at it, or if it's red, we're not really there yet, but that's okay, we're still working on it. If it's yellow, it's like, oh, it's in progress. And if it's green, it's fully in, right? And so it'll be very visual for our community. And that will go to our dashboard, which I have here. And we're gonna implement a dashboard that has all of our little pieces so that at a glance, you can go on our website and you'll be able to see the graphics that say, oh, this is our stoplight report, right? And you can say, okay, we're not quite there yet with fiscally responsible in X, Y, or Z, but boy, oh boy, are we really taking charge in that portrait of a graduate. So you'll be able to see some of those pieces as we grow and develop that. And that's that scorecard. And then our leadership action plan template is something that we're working on as a team so that I can and we can have accountability with the planning that goes on with it, so that each building has its own action plan and we can talk about that and what that looks like as we grow into the future. So now, anybody have questions about where we're at?
I'd just like to say thank you for, I think we kind of finished up our strategic plan stuff in April, May-ish. So this is a lot that's come together in the last 3-4 months, and so I'm excited to have a new team in place to put it forward, and I think this will do real well for us in, attracting open enrollment and just getting people energized around what we're doing. So, I think it's off to a good start, so I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, very good, very good. And that ends the superintendent report.
That is a high note to end on. Thank you.
That's all in it.
Director of Business Services, yes, you do.
Better have good news.
Yeah. So my report, just financial report's gonna be pretty brief. In a perfect, I shouldn't say perfect, in a normal year for me, I'd have more polished numbers for you. But given the transition, I'm still closing out 24-25 fiscal year. So some of the items are gonna look different when we meet next month. As far as cash and bank goes, at the end of June, we were sitting at just north of 7 million. In our Fund 10 savings, about 5 million. And in our Fund 46 capital improvement savings, about 1.7 million. Ended the year in a really, really solid financial position. We did really well on our interest earnings. That Fund 10 savings netted us about 230,000, which was over budget. And the Fund 46 capital improvement savings netted us about 80,000 in interest. As far as the actual financials, like I said just a moment ago, things are gonna look a little inflated right now. I'm still tying out some of the expenses that didn't hit until late. So, like I said, August, much cleaner picture of what the year actually looked like. So if you look at the Fund 10 balance, it looks like about 960,000. That's gonna be much closer in line with what we've seen in past years. In addition to closing out that fiscal year, the doors at South that were initially were budgeted for and initially supposed to be completed in 24-25, just based on delays with the vendor, are not done yet. So that's about 110,000 of expense that will not hit 24-25. All the boards, like Matt said earlier, they're about 100,000. Those have not yet hit the books. So kind of all those things together is where we're looking a little bit inflated on some of those numbers. Does anybody have questions? Just big picture?
What's our interest rate down to now?
It's like, I can tell you right now. You give me just a moment. Actually, I can't, I don't have my phone on me and I can't do my dual factor without it.
I just know it's been slowly.
It has
declining.
trickled down, but I'll send it to you, I can send it to you guys.
Those carryovers, those come out of Fund 10,
Which ones?
the doors and then the clocks, all that comes out of 10?
Correct, yep.
So we don't have to worry about having any kind of a year issue with capital or anything else?
No, they just haven't been expensed yet. There were some of the payroll costs that hit, technically they were 6/30 payroll, but they didn't hit till July. Some of the benefit costs still gotta get tied back in, so all those things will get tied up and we'll put a bow on it, and in August we'll have a much clearer picture.
Okay,
But we're in a really solid position.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all.
Move on,
Thank you.
move on to new business. We've got discussion and decision on policy 5330.
Tina, do you wanna?
Yeah, absolutely, not a problem. Let's just first start with explaining this process, right? Because we did such a great job of getting these all approved. And if you recall, we started the process as, okay, we've got this hodgepodge of different policies, we're gonna go with Neola and we're not gonna make any big substantive changes unless we felt like along the way it needed to happen. So these 5,000 series were approved like last year, November. And nobody's really looked at them a whole lot, right? We haven't taken a look at them until this last, this summer, we had a parent reach out. Thank you, it's really important that when people see things, I will just say, remember the chain of command. Because I would love to know before, anybody else knows, because if I can resolve the issue, I would like to be able to resolve the issue. So that's my one ask of the community, is just to make sure that, ask me first, because I'm gonna be able to have the answer instead of it having to become something that it doesn't need to. But in light of that, we went back and took a look at the question regarding medication. And we have a process in place that states that you have to pick up your medications at the end of summer on the last day of school, because we can't hold them over the summer. There's all kinds of issues that go along with that, right? Like, can you get a refill? What does that look like? All of those pieces. So something happened before I was here where somebody threw them away and they couldn't get the refill, so now they're waiting 13 days. Oh my gosh, we can't do that. We kept the practice of, we're gonna throw it away, right? But we didn't throw it away, right? We're keeping them in a back closet, because in the event that somebody has a situation where they can't pick it up and God forbid, then that child doesn't have the medication that they need, particularly if it's an emergency medication and the parents just had something else going on and couldn't pick it up. We say that because, we're supposed to say that, but that's what we write in there. The other question that came was, well, why does it have to be the last day of school? Last day of school is chaotic. I don't disagree with that. Why does it have to be the last day? Let's make it the 5th day after school's out. Within 5 days of school letting out, pick up your medication and then we'll take the process, right? Why not do that? I have no problem with that. I think that's great. The reason we have a deadline is because you have to have a deadline, right? You have to have a stop point, right? There's accountability with that, there's a stop point. So let's do that. Let's add 5 days, or, I'll change that. That's not a policy, that's a process. So I'll talk to Nurse Andy, she'll take care of it, and we'll adjust that. But it did bring to light some question regarding some differences in communicating about well, according to the old student handbook, I could sign off and my child could carry medication, and in the policy it says, so there was some discrepancy. So in looking through it and conferring with, our liability insurance and then other districts, to have children carry medication with them at all is a liability. So we had in here that they could carry it with them. The change to this is to remove that language. We're no longer gonna be carrying medications with our children. If there is a emergency, typically it's an EpiPen situation. We have EpiPens throughout our district in various locations, and our staff are trained. So it's not like they don't have it right there. The fear on this is, just so people understand that, we don't care, our students could get access to an EpiPen and not know what to do with it, right? Our student who needs to use the EpiPen could be in fight or flight mode and misuse the EpiPen. And if something tragic happens, who's liable? We would be, right? Because it's happening on our time, on our grounds. So we want to be really careful about that. So the request here is just to, I think you all saw it, remove the language that, and just keep it to, old lady, all prescription medications shall be secured and appropriately stored, allowing for quick access and retrieval before, during, and after school hours. Eliminating anybody carrying during the day, regardless of whether they're signed off, and eliminating the thought that somebody could carry it home at the last day of school.
Thank you.
Can you just confirm, do you talk to a couple of different schools about their practices?
Yeah, so we actually have access to a lot of the Neola policies throughout, and nobody allows students to carry medication. It's just not a thing. Not non-prescription, not prescription. This whole team has experience coming from other districts. We've all discussed it. It was a miss.
Thank you.
So that does need approval in order for us to make that adjustment.
I'll make a motion to approve policy 5330 as presented.
I'll second that.
Any additional discussion? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the modification of policy 5330. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thank you for keeping children safe. That's important.
Next, we have the student discussion and adoption of the 25-26 student parent handbook. I am assuming that, Tina, this is one that you'd like to lead since your team put that together.
Yeah, so pretty basic. I love that people are reading through it. Thank you, Niels, for that. We will absolutely, obviously be taking a look at this as we build this out. Again, this is a Neola produced handbook. So it's based on all of those policies. So whether it's that kind of, miss on that, but we will correct that and bring it back to the next board meeting. Really, truly, this is a standard protocol handbook. We brought it to the committee. We went through a couple of different iterations of it as our team went through it. And try to update, and now this time it looks like it's more of a handbook. It's got our page numbers, there's easier access to things. And I think the part that I really love about this handbook is that our board policies are hyperlinked into it. So going through it, you read it, you wanna know what that policy is, you click on it and it takes you right to it. It's a really nice feature for us to have, and a shout out to Gretchen, because she manually did all of that work. It didn't automatically hyperlink, so she had to attach them one at a time. So if there's some that are, then we need to take a look at it and go through it. But generally speaking, what is the process for handbooks? It will be the same for student handbook as it will be for the employee handbook, and that is every quarter we will, so here's July. July, we're looking at it, we'll bring it back in October with any changes or recommendations and what that will look like. So in the next meetings, if this were to get approved, if we have some recommendations from the community, like we did, with the medication, and like we have here today with Neil's, we will have, we'll take note of it, we'll have a clear process, we'll bring it to committee. Committee will take a look at it and say, yep, that makes sense, that doesn't make sense, let's make the change or not, take it to the full board will approve it, and or not approve it. It's based on very similarly to how we do policy, and it's what we should do, it's the right thing to do as far as going through any kind of new anything, but I'm just thankful to have something in place that matches our policies. So I open the floor to any thoughts or concerns or questions. Again, very similar to the policies, I'd like to get it out there and then come at it from the angle of, I saw that there was a correction on this piece, what does that look like? Can we take that to committee?
And from a time standpoint, the administration needs this to go forward now and start.
We do, yeah, I think we absolutely need some kind of semblance of a handbook in place. We are looking to embed it into the registration process where we sign off and say that every parent received the handbook. And we do intend to utilize our handbook more as a tool. Our students are gonna look at it as part of Portrait of a Graduate so that they become owners of what the rules are, and that our parents also take a look at it.
What was the policy number? That was 5136, correct?
And then 5136.01.
What about those? What are you saying?
Those are the ones that
Just ones we're gonna have to look
Oh,
at,
yeah.
yep.
So I guess I would
Contradictory.
make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 student parent handbook, and with what's currently laid out, and then review 5136 and 5136.01 in the next committee meeting.
I'll second that.
Whoa.
So Matt seconds.
Double math.
Double mad.
Wow,
That's where.
That's impressive.
Jinx, can't talk.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to approve of the handbook with the review and modifications of the one mentioned. Is there any further discussion?
Thanks for pulling that together from the committee and whoever else that does a lot of work. I think it's good to have that in place.
They did an amazing job grouping it together, so I do have to give the administration team huge props for
Absolutely
that.
great.
Yeah, Gretchen really worked hard to get this ready for tonight, so kudos, Gretchen, I know you're watching.
Thanks, Gretchen.
Yeah, the ability for parents or community members to see where the process of the handbook is directly tied to the policy itself.
So that made it easy for me to review, right?
Great.
So it's like, we've already spent all the time with the policies and then
Right.
almost every section has the policy link, so it's like.
It's great, great job. All right. No more discussion. All those in favor of supporting the handbook with the modifications as described by Member Hagland, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And again, we'll get that process out there, we'll have a form online, right by the link that says if you see changes or have recommendations, please complete this form. It'll automate to me, and we'll take it from there.
All right, thank you. So I only have two things to update. One of them is in the next section under future meetings. I don't want it to get buried in there, and I just want to explain it again for the community. There's the district-wide board meeting that's coming up on August 21st at 6:30 p.m. That'll be held at Arrowhead High School.
Not 6. 6:30, no, you're right, sorry.
Yes, 6:30 at South Campus in the Library Lab A. And again, this is the all-district discussion of the different school boards to be able to talk about collaboration and cooperation and communication between them. So again, it's open to the public, but it is a board workshop. So while it's open for public viewing, it is not a two-way communication. It is a board workshop working together to discuss district interactions. So just wanted to highlight that. And then also had a nice meeting with Representative Barbara Dietrich on July 11th. If you're not familiar with her, the districts got repositioned over the last year or so, and she is now the 99th district representative for us in the assembly, and she oversees our community. She also sits on the education committee, which is great. She's an advocate. And one of her other, she has 8 different committees she sits on. One of the other ones I wrote down is she also sits on the Children and Families Committee. So a real love for education and an advocate for education, so that's great. One of the things in the meeting that she talked about was her advocacy for special education funding, especially. She's a very, very strong advocate. While it didn't get to the number that she had hoped, she was happy to see it's at least moving in the right direction. There's still some disagreements within the assembly on how things can improve, but the good news is it's on the radar. It is a big item for them, and it will continue to be moved forward in the future discussions. The budget for schools, that's a more complicated challenge. There is, again, some difficulty between the governor and the House and the Senate there with how the budget moves forward, so that part's a little bit nimble at this point. They're not sure how to proceed. They know that they need to do some things, but there's some real fights going on in Madison right now with that. But the good news is, again, her being on the education committee, she is an advocate for schools and for increased funding. So those are the only 2 things that I had.
Question for you. Did she
Sure.
at all, or did you guys at all talk about what will be done with the state of Wisconsin when the Board of Education is dismantled?
No.
Federally? Okay. So there's no like, what are we gonna do with the money? Where is the money gonna come from? Stuff like that. Okay.
Nope. Any other questions? All right, then future meetings. So we have Finance Committee meeting Tuesday, August 12th at 8:30 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. PPC Thursday, August 14th at 8:30 a.m. Yep, correct. Great. Our school board meeting on Monday, August 18th at 6:30.
Yeah, not 6. Don't come at 6.
You can, you'll just be prepared and ready. And then again, the district-wide board meeting at Arrowhead on Thursday night, August 21st at 6:30.
Just a reminder, I'll be virtual on the 18th.
Thank you. Okay, then at this point, we will be moving into executive session, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn into executive session for Wisconsin statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The purpose of the closed session will be to discuss the superintendent goals and measurables.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We are now in executive session. Thank you very much.
Yes, very nice meeting.
Likewise.
Look forward to working with you guys. You forgot to mention that you're to have lefty writer.
I know.
You're lefty too?
You get a chance to.
You're lefty as well?
I got a pen for you.
Oh, really?